Welcome to our continuing series, Questions and Answers, from the works of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. Today, Food, Part 4, from Sri Aurobindo. When the physical consciousness has been sensitized, too rich or heavy food becomes offensive to it. You must not let that movement of reducing food go too far. It is one of the dangers of the sadhana. Because of the ascetic turn of yoga in the past, that as experiences come, the suggestion comes that food or sleep, etc., are not necessary. And also there may come an inclination in the body not to eat or not to sleep. But if that is accepted, the results are often disastrous. It is no more to be accepted than the inertia itself. There is no harm in fasting from time to time. For a day or two, or in reducing the food taken to a small but sufficient modicum. But entire abstinence for a long period is not advisable. I think the importance of sattvic food from the spiritual point of view has been exaggerated. Food is rather a question of hygiene, and many of the sanctions and prohibitions laid down in ancient religions had a more hygienic than a spiritual motive. The Gita's definitions seem to point in the same direction. Tamasic food, it seems to say, is what is stale or rotten with the virtue gone out of it. Rajasic food is that which is too acrid, pungent, etc., heats the blood and spoils the health. Sattvic food is what is pleasing, healthy, etc. It may well be that the different kinds of food nourish the action of the different gunas, and so indirectly are helpful or harmful, apart from their physical action. But that is as far as we can confidently go. What particular eatables are or are not sattvic is another question, and more difficult to determine. Spiritually, I should say that the effect of food depends more on the occult atmosphere and influences that come with it than on anything in the food itself. Vegetarianism is another question altogether. It stands, as you say, on a will not to do harm to the more conscious forms of life for the satisfaction of the belly. As to the question of practicing to take all kinds of food with equal rasa, it is not necessary to practice, nor does it really come by practice. One has to acquire equality within in the consciousness. And as this equality grows, one can extend it or apply it to the various fields of the activity of the consciousness. Those who are ready to give up animal food should certainly do so. The others can do it when they are ready. It is rather certain kinds of food that are supposed to increase it, sexual desire. That is, meat, onions, chilies, etc. I think onions can be described as rajaso-tamasic in their character. They are heavy and material, and at the same time excitant of certain strong material vital forces. It is obvious that if one wants to conquer the physical passions and is still very much subject to the body nature and the things that affect it, free indulgence in onions is not advisable. It is only for those who have risen above the body consciousness and mastered it, and are not affected by these things, that it does not at all matter. For them, the use of this or that food, or its disuse, makes no difference. At the same time, I must say that the abstinence from rajasic or tamasic foods does not of itself assure freedom from the things they help to stimulate. Vegetarians, for instance, can be as sensual and excitable as meat eaters. A man may abstain from onions and yet be in these respects no better than before. It is a change of consciousness that is effective, and this kind of abstention helps that only insofar as it tends to create a less heavy and more refined and plastic physical consciousness for the higher will to act upon. That is something, but it is not all. The change of consciousness can come even in spite of non-abstinence.